living in a world today that is filled with chaos. We have problems in politics, we have problems in our families, we have problems in our relationships, we've got problems in our jobs, and we've got problems in our schools. We even have problems in our churches. But the real problem is we have a God problem. We see our problems bigger than our God. Now that's a big problem. If you take just a moment and look up to the starry host, you can't help but know that He is God. He's majesty. He's maker. All we have to do is just take a moment and look. Psalms 19:1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows His handiwork." No matter how you felt when you felt like you got betrayed, no matter how you felt when you got that not so positive doctor's report, no matter how you felt when you got that phone call that you hoped that you would never get, no matter how you felt when you looked in the mirror and the reflections of all your failures was staring back at you, none of it matters. Not one bit of it matters when you figure out that God is greater. Don't count Him short. Don't sell Him out. Don't think the bell has rung, and don't think the decision has been made and the end of the bout is at hand. Don't think that you have lost the fight. No matter what you're facing, no matter what you're going through, don't sell God short. The heavens are a billboard of His glory, His power, and His majesty. Genesis 1:1 said, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light." When God opened up His mouth, everything we know came into existence. Science refers to our universe as the known universe. Why? Because we haven't built a telescope big enough to see what came out of the mouth of God when He said, "Let there be light." We build a telescope and see things that blow our mind, and God says it still ain't big enough. We need to build another one. He laughs and says, "You've not even scratched the surface." Scientists are baffled and make the statement that if this universe was home for you and I, then it's just way too big. What if that was not its only purpose? What if it was created to sing the praises and the glory of our God? People say, "I would have loved to have been there when it was all created." Baby, you could not have handled it. When God said, "Let there be light," light came out of His mouth at 186,000 miles a second. Psalms 33:6 says, "By the word of the Lord the heavens were made, and by the breath of His mouth all their host." God is a star breather. God is bigger than our problems. God is sovereign, and like Him, there is none other. If I count the stars, I could count one per second, and it would take 2,500 years just to count the stars that are in the Milky Way. Isaiah 40, chapter 26 says, "Lift up your eyes on high and see who has created these stars. The one who leads forth their hosts by number. He calls them all by name because of the greatness of His might and the strength of His power. Not one of them is missing." 2,500 years counting one star per second to count the stars that are in the Milky Way, and God knows every one of them by name. The Milky Way is 100,000 light years across. 100,000 light years across. The distance from one side to the other at 186,000 miles a second would take you 100,000 years to travel across the Milky Way. Our solar system is the size of a quarter, and the Milky Way is the size of the North American continent. Man, that's enormous. It's gigantic. And somewhere in the Milky Way, there's a star. It's not the biggest, it's not the baddest, it's not the greatest. We call it the sun. And around it is orbiting these balls that we call planets, and one of them we call the Earth. Just a speck of dust in God's creation. But our God is so big that He created all that we are speaking about today, and He still looks down through this cosmic universe that we look at so vastly, all the way through the Milky Way to that little blue dot, that pale blue dot, that speck of dust we call the Earth, all the way through the clouds and the water. And He sees me, and He sees you. He knows every issue. He knows every struggle. He knows every problem. He knows every heartache. He is so big that He breathed out the world that we know, and yet also He walks in the middle of the very place that you are hearing this from today, and will breathe life into you today and breathe life into your situation. He sees every issue, and He will not leave you. He will not let you go. Psalms 8:3 says, "When I considered thy heavens, the work of thy fingers, the moon and the stars which thou hast ordained, what is man that thou art mindful of him?" I'm getting ready to get done with this devotional today, but I just have a little bit more. Just a little bit more. You've seen the Milky Way, you've seen the stars, you've seen the earth, but there is one more thing. This, after all, this God that you know said you and I are fearfully and wonderfully made. The average human brain has 1 billion nerve cells. Nerve impulses from the brain travel as fast as 170 miles an hour. The average life of a taste bud is 10 days. The average cough comes out of your mouth at 60 miles per hour. The human thigh bone is stronger than concrete. When you sneeze, your entire body, even your heart, stops. Now, in the average life of a person will walk the equivalent of 5 times around the equator. Average scalp has 100,000 hairs, and God knows every one of them on every single person. The average human blinks 6,250,000 times a year. Every year, about 98% of the atoms in your body are replaced. Every human spent about half an hour as a single cell. There are 45 miles of nerves in the skin of a person. The average heart will pump 48 million gallons of blood in a lifetime. Each square inch of human skin consists of 20 feet of blood vessels. Human blood travels around 60,000 miles a day on its journey throughout the body. An adult human body contains approximately 100 trillion cells. Every hour, about 180 million new red blood cells enter the bloodstream. If we were to put every part of our circulatory system together end to end, it would be 60,000 miles long. 6 billion steps of DNA can be contained in a single cell. DNA could be stretched to 6 feet long. It's coiled up in the middle of a single cell nucleus, which measures only 1/2500th of an inch in diameter. I'm almost done. There is something in the human body called laminin. The laminins are a family of glycoproteins that are an integral part of the structural scaffolding in almost every tissue in the body. They call them cell adhesion molecules. It's the glue that holds the human body together. I don't think you understand it until I show you a scientific diagram of what laminin looks like. My. Colossians 1:16. For by him all things were created, both in the heavens and on the earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. Verse 17 says, he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. No matter what you're facing, the universe declares his glory, and he is sending you a message today. I don't think the shape of this laminin that holds us together is an accident. I believe God is saying, no matter what you're facing, I sent my son to die on a cross for you, to save you, and to give you victory. And there are hundreds of millions of tiny little cross-shaped molecules running through your body, reminding you that I am the one that is holding you together. God is saying, I created it all, but it is you that I am mindful of today. Jesus is letting you know that it is you that is so important to him that he gave his life for you. And the Holy Spirit is reminding you that you are not alone. He is flowing through you, and he will bring you through to a place of victory today. Put your trust in him, the one who created it all and was willing to give it all up just for you.